thanks for tuning in to F1 Podcast. This is episode 104, Max, and we only have 2 weeks to go. Yes.
Can't wait, mate.
How cool is that? It's been such a long winter, and it's been the biggest winter, I've got to say, in a long time. So much happening.
I'm over it. I'm sick of it. Come on.
So mate, before we get into this episode, which is car launches, just want to do a little bit of housekeeping to say thanks very much for all the comments and views on our Brawn F1 video. It's had almost 6,000 views, and it's the most fifth or sixth most commented video that we've ever done, mate. So there's been heaps of comments. So thanks, guys. But let's talk about the car launches, and let's start with Brawn F1, Brawn GP.
Brawn GP.
Yeah. And for me, mate, it was just great to see that finally that Honda situation has been put to bed, and we now have a new F1 team.
Thank God it's been put to bed. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's great, and Jensen and Rubens have now got a race seat. So let's talk. We're actually going to do a video straight after this talking about testing and about the speed or whatever of the Brawn car. But before that, let's just talk about the launch, mate. They've got that white car with the yellow and black livery, and Rubens and Jensen driving. What were your thoughts when you heard the news, mate?
First of all, I was ecstatic for all of the guys back at the factory, well, for a majority of them that are keeping their jobs. I think it's probably best outcome for the ex-Honda guys. I've got to say that, Brawn GP, there's been a lot of lead-in time to this car, mate, and we'll go on to that in the next video, but I like the look of it. I'm sure that sponsors' names will be added to the livery of the car as the season progresses. But I just think it's fantastic to see 20 cars on the grid, knowing full well that 20 cars are going to be on the grid at Melbourne rather than 18. And I'm pleased to hear that all of the sources close to Honda are now silenced, and we're going to go racing in 2 weeks. But yeah, I was impressed with the car, mate, and the pace of the car.
Yeah, I thought the announcement was, as you said, mate, it's just fantastic. Just that there's another team on the grid, and when I looked at the car, I thought, you know, it's quite a basic looking car, but very clean. I made a comment saying it was similar to the Williams. It was very clean looking car. I like the side pods, Max. I like those side pods, and you know, Rubens and Jensen, I would have preferred Bruno Senna, and you guys have made a heap of comments about the drivers, but I can see why Ross went for that continuity, and we'll have to see what happens with that car, mate, but I'm just glad that they're there, and I think a lot of people will support them given that they're a bit of an underdog. Thanks.
Yeah, they are, Pep, and you're right, and Aussies like an underdog. Those of you that are Aussies will know that. But I thought it was very interesting to read some of your comments this week as well. Some of you are saying that they're now your new team that you're going to support, and I think a majority of us as well were on the bandwagon in the sense that they will be the second team that we support, and I think it's fantastic. I mean, you've got a guy of the calibre of Ross Brawn running the show, and he'll take this team by the scruff of the neck, no doubt, mate. And hopefully they'll do good things. Yeah,
and they've got a Mercedes engine, so that's no slouch. And so, as we said in the last video, that means Mercedes are now supplying 30% of the grid, and that to me means that, you know, they're going to do pretty well on the engine front with the Mercedes engine and KERS and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, they've got the Mercedes engine and gearbox. They've got the KERS technology, you know, whenever that gets turned on. But some of you have made comments that, well, Mercedes or McLaren have an unfair advantage in the sense that they're 30% of the grid are going to be
they get more testing miles and more opportunity.
But the thing is to keep in mind is that there's an engine freeze on.
They can't change the engine.
They can't do anything. So I think we should probably temper our comments about them getting an unfair advantage, because there isn't one. Purely because the engine's homologated now, and you can't change them. The only change in the off-season was that Renault were able to develop their engine to get it up to speed with everyone else, and I thought it was very nice of everyone in the paddock to agree with that, especially because they're powering Red Bull this year, go Webber. I don't think there's going to be that much of an advantage to McLaren by running 3 teams.
Alright guys, we'll check out the next video where we talk about the Brawn pace in testing.
And it's killing us not to comment out it yet, trust me, but we will.
We will in the next video. Alright, let's move on to the next car launch, which has been Toro Rosso, and of course the car looked exactly the same as the Red Bull RB5, despite what Fran said about the different... Yeah, he's got a Ferrari engine in the back, but the car of course looks exactly the same, and for me it was just really looking at the livery on the car, and the car I knew was going to be exactly the same. And I saw a couple of interviews this week with Boomy, and I really think this guy's going to do pretty well in F1, and I hope that Sebastian Bourdais and Boomy do a good job, Max. And the car to me obviously look great. We said that about the Red Bull, so you know, what else can you say, mate? It's a Red Bull with a slightly different livery.
Yeah, pretty much. Made by Red Bull Technologies. I mean, we all know that. But the thing for me is that this is a crunch year for Bourdais. If he doesn't deliver this year, mate, he's gone.
Oh yeah.
And I personally can see him back in the United States next year. I hope he proves me wrong if he really wants to stay in Formula One. This is a make or break year for him. I don't think I'm telling you anything you don't know. Boomy, to me, the jury's out on the young fella, the young Swiss. I've read a bit about him, and there's a little bit of conjecture about how he performed in the lower Formulae just prior to being given the F1 seat.
They're saying he's the next Vettel, that he's been brought through by Red Bull, and time will tell, as you say, Max, whether he delivers.
I'm not 100% convinced. I think you only have a couple of drivers that explode out of the box every couple of years. We had that in Lewis Hamilton, albeit in a terrific car. But we've seen what Vettel could do in last year's STR3. He had his maiden win, youngest F1 driver to win a race and all that sort of thing. And I believe that said Vettel deserves his drive in the senior team. Boomy, I'm not 100% sure about yet. I think it's going to take him a little bit of time to adjust to Formula One, but they're a young team, Toro Rosso. At the end of the day, their most experienced driver had a fairly horrid time last year. But as far as car launches are concerned, it looks good. I mean, it's, STR, their livery's always nice. I mean, that's great. I just want the bloody thing to be quick.
Yeah,
exactly. And I want Bourdais to push forward this year, mate, and make a name for himself.
And I can't wait what's going to happen between those two drivers. Alright, the last car launch that we had, which was about a week and a half ago now, was the Force India, the BJM 02. I just love the fact that BJ is naming the cars after himself. That's hilarious. But anyway,
it's like Ross Brawn, the RB001. I love it.
And the Force India, as was announced a couple of months ago now, what they did was they had a calendar that came out, and it had a green front on the car, and that was kind of a bit of a giveaway that the car was going to have a green front, and that car to me looks very clean. I like the look of the new Force India, and I'm going to be very interested to see how it compares with the Brawn car in terms of the Mercedes engine. But the car itself looks great, and they're trying to drag themselves off the back of the grid, and we'll see what happens. Fisichella, for me, is past his use by date, Max, and Satil, well, he's yet to prove himself. Let's be nice about it.
Yeah. And that is being nice about it.
It is being nice, but I wish them the best, and the car looks pretty clean, so let's see what happens, mate.
Yeah, car looks clean, hate the livery. I don't like this whole nationalistic bent.
To A1 GP, Max?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, no offence to our Indian listeners and fans. I'm not a fan of the livery of the car. My main sticking point is whether or not it's quick enough. We know that the Mercedes engine will be quick enough, but whether or not they've done enough on aero, etc., is a moot point. But it's a tidy car.
It is tidy.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, it does look good.
The chassis itself, the car itself looks good, and it does look good. Just don't like the livery on it, but I mean that's neither here nor there, I guess. But another a pretty big year for Fisichella now, mate.
His last year.
Well, this could very well be his last year in Formula One, and I'd be making the most of every race, as I'm sure he will be. But the other young tacker next to him, mate, jury's still out for me. I'd like to see Satil, step up the plate a little bit, but I could equally say the same thing about Nelson Piquet Jr.
Exactly.
Yes, he knew. He's got to step up to the plate with Renault, but we're not talking about Renault, but you get my point.
Alright guys, well straight after this we're going to do a video on the testing and what's been happening in testing, so we'll load the second video after this one very quickly, so check in soon and we'll see you for that one.
Alright guys, bye.
Bye.
It must be true.